Welcome. You're watching Physical Activity Researcher podcast. Interviews with world-leading physical activity researchers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest, Dr. Miriam Cabrita. Welcome, Miriam.
Hello, thank you.
Nice to have you. So we've been developing the new Fibion Student Lab. Earlier, our products have been mainly the Fibion products have been used in research project, but we started to get feedback from different lecturers that they have been using our products in teaching and in student theses, and they found it that they are easy to use because it's pretty simple, no buttons and easy. So we started to think that how could we create a simple package that you could use in teaching, in active learning, and how to make it good value for money. So we have put together in one Fibion Student Lab package the Fibion Sleep, Fibion Circadian, and Sitting and Activity Analysis. So you can actually measure many things, and it should be so easy to use that you can actually use it also in the studies. I remember when I was teaching in applied sciences that you are really nervous before you have the go to teach with the students, because you need to go and open the PC
Like,
like
I
7 minutes
hope.
before, because when you log in it's loading, and then you need to uh, open the installed software, and it's
Yeah,
only one computer, you don't have any backup, and then it's maybe you had the Bluetooth, which back then was much more unstable. Now
yeah,
the Bluetooth is quite reliable, and if you had an unstable Bluetooth, it was like headache. You were really nervous that does this work? The students are waiting there, and then you
yeah,
are trying to connect it. And I think many people who are teaching hands-on things, they know the feeling that you need to prepare, and also if you don't fully remember that it's complicated to use, you need to go and check maybe day before that, all right, I needed to click this, I make a new project, I need to give the background information, I need to do this, and then the data goes here, I need to open with this software,
yeah.
and it's super complicated. So we are glad to have a product which should go with past all of these. And there's no need to install software. Students can use it with any device, with PC, Mac, Android phone, iOS phone. So those are working in the cloud, so it should be very easy to use. And if we go a little bit to how to how to use it, how do you, Miriam, see, from your background from teaching, that how what are the different ways that you can use this student lab package?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this product because it comes really close to my experience. I've used in the past, and was not like a package or a sensor from here and then this and then that, and then you said you are really literally crossing your fingers. Like, I hope everything works every time, and then next year the whole story repeats, as you very well. It's exactly my experience.
Yeah,
Um, so I think I'm really excited about these new products, and I see a very broad ways that it would be useful. We could talk about the pure or the more biosignal, the signal analysis studies, so more measure and look at the raw data, because that's one of the things that we can get with this product. Look at the raw data, do the signal analysis, signal processing. So more for that part of the study programs, but also when we move towards the more healthcare related, to not only the measurement to understand the physical behavior, physical activity, sleep, but also more in the interventional sides to design of the behavior change techniques. And then, for example, if you combine with questionnaires, or if you look at the motivation. So how do you design interventions that motivate people to change their physical activity or sleep habits? Um, for example, that is critical, and to understand one size doesn't fit all. Also, especially for example, that's another particular or another thing that I think is relevant. You can do as individual assignments, but also as group assignments, and see that different groups come to different strategies to motivate physical activity. So we can go very much in that direction. And something that, of course, from your background, you know much more, even if or if in this case, the study program, the teacher wants to use the Fibion reports that are very complete, and just use it as a way to do the coaching, to communicate, but that you for sure can tell much more than I do. So more for health or for fitness professionals. So I think that's also something that we should say. We talk a lot about the academic, the university students, because I think that's also what you and me relate more to, but it would be used in a much broader range of trainings, even college students.
Yeah, and in our earlier recordings about active learning, we discussed that how is it important for different health and fitness professionals that they have actually seen the raw signal, they see how the results are calculated, maybe they compare sensor in a wrist, sensor in a thigh, and actually understand that there are differences. They understand how the differences come about, and they are critical for anything, even if they haven't measured this certain thing that they come, they understand that there's algorithms behind, there's many things that affect. So maybe we start a little bit from the kind of more from the technical side, that what you can do, and then go a little bit more in the practical side. So the system is measuring raw acceleration signal, and that's a basis for many measurement technologies. It's very easy to measure, and you can actually analyze many things, because you get the orientation towards the gravitation, so you can get the orientation of the sensor. This is, for example, when you analyze sitting, standing, walking, you can detect what is the sensor of the orientation of the sensor, and you can analyze those things. And so how would you, as a biomedical engineer, what kind of things you could teach with the raw accelerometry for biomedical engineers? What kind of classes you would have?
Yeah, I see this very much in the signal analysis. So activity detection, for example. Also, if we are going more into the, let's say, coding, you could ask students to try to do their own activity or intensity detection, and then because you have the raw data, use open source algorithms to compare the results. There are a lot of open source algorithms, so that's also something you see. Okay, these were my results. These are the results I get from validated algorithms. And then, of course, always with the critical thinking, why is it different? Because most likely it will be different, let's be honest. So why is what is the difference? I think that's it. And then you can go from very controlled lab type studies that you have really a protocol from I don't know, sit and stand 10 times and then stop, and then all these type of studies, to more real world uncontrolled environments, and then try to detect or positions or intensities or whatever you want to do. So it gives really a broad range of opportunities for technical students, and especially to get the raw data in a easy way.
Mm,
I think
mm,
that's it, because normally the rougher you go, like if you really want to go to the raw data, it means to have more complex devices
mm.
and more complex systems.
Yeah, yeah, and basically you can, for example, wear the device on the wrist, so you can analyze physical
Also,
activity, you can analyze sleep, you can have it on the waist, on center of mass. So it's for biomechanical applications. You could do, for example, counter movement jumps. You could analyze
yeah,
the jump height from the flight time. You could have it on left and right leg, so you could compare symmetry between left and right side, maybe with the patient population that have
yeah,
have problems between
yeah,
between
yeah.
sides. Yeah.
Or something as easy as, or easy, not easy, but as obvious. I think it's always one of the first examples. The difference if you use the wrist, the dominant and non-dominant wrist.
Mm,
That is something that I think is very easy to understand for everyone, and see what's the difference in the signal if you use or two sensors, or one first in one hand and then in the other hand. That's or the optimal placement of the sensor. That's also something that's very often if you
mm,
want to detect cycling, what is the optimal placing of the sensor.
mm. And basically, how do you then do this in the class? We said that you might be nervous with some devices. With this, is that you have a device which doesn't have any buttons.
Yeah.
So it's a very small device, waterproof device. You give the device to students. They can go with, even with their smartphone, just to web address. They will have the login code. They can click in the cloud, start measurement, and they will see the data coming there. They can download the raw data. They can start analyzing. So there's no need to have the lab computer. Students can use their own
Hmm.
computer. All of them can access the same data that, for example, one person is just wearing the device, and you could have that the student is doing, for example, certain activities of daily
Yeah.
living, and other students can already start analyzing that data. So it's also very fast to get access to
Yeah.
data. So that's about the raw acceleration signal that you can do. If we go a little bit more into more practical, that you don't need to code yourself, so you can measure sleep rest activity rhythms with the circadian system. You can measure when it's tie worn. You can measure sedentary behavior and physical activity. When it's on the wrist, you can do classic sleep actigraphy for
Yeah.
sleep. What kind of ideas you would have for teaching to use these? What would be the kind of practical classes you could come up with this kind of measurements?
I think it's. Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of ideas. The first one that pops up my mind when you ask is the breaking of sedentary periods, for
Mm,
example, because I think it's something that all students, or most students, relate to. So to detect the sedentary periods, and then it depends, of course, if you go to the raw data or if you go to not raw but steps, so from
mm,
which point is sedentary, and to detect that, or if you already have the sedentary period, can also be. So it depends where you are, but when do you send a prompt or a nudge to move? um, how would you do it? Is it better to do it at the moment or to do it at the end of the day? So we go more to the intervention, to the behavior change side. uh, Today you were sitting for 7 hours. Try to do tomorrow. So in this case of interventions, or the other side, to promote more physical activity, and what type of activity, if it's the light, if it's um, the moderate or vigorous activity that you can do. How do you do it? That, I think, for my side, but that's of course my expertise, the the behavior change techniques. How do you do it, and to which person, to which group? The way that you motivate someone who is already active is different than the way you should, or that someone gets motivated is not active at all. So how do you do that? So that kind of design of interventions you can do. What else? Yeah, I think it's create awareness or change. When you go to more clinical, to more healthcare, not clinical, more healthcare side, those are the two. And of course, create awareness is most often with the idea of change, of motivating change. But those are the things, or even detect patterns also, and that can both with the raw data or with already processed data, because you can do that from the raw, but also that on Mondays you are the least active, so detect which days of the week or which times of the day the people are less active. That is the kind of, it's a data analysis, but it's a soft, let's put it this way, soft data analysis. If we don't go into very complex, of course, you can make it as complex as you want. But that you can also do for more else studies.
And of course, it depends what you are studying. If you're studying, for example, public health or something, it might be quite simple. They don't need to go to the raw data. And basically, if you do some teaching with the behavior change, so interventional, that's also very easy to use. Participants can just wear the device on their front pocket of the trousers. For example, one day, then you just get the link to report, and it can be opened with any device, just with any web browser, and then you see graphical results that are easy to share, and students could, for example, give feedback to each other. They would get the experience of giving. How do you have the tact of giving feedback? For example, that somebody has negative results. There's a lot of sedentary behavior, not much physical activity. So it's important to get the experience that it might be very challenging. You need to prepare. How do you talk to people? How do you check all the time that how are they getting the feedback? You can look their cues at the same time when giving feedback, and then fine tune the feedback. So those can be used with the behavior change things. And do you have any other points that you want to bring in these?
I think that another group of students that we also talked in the part one of the podcast, the more media students. If you want to integrate, if you are designing an app or software to promote well-being, health, let's leave it as broad as possible, that you can very easily integrate with an API and to get access to the data and use the data in your own app that you are developing. And now thinking about, I don't know, multimedia students and programming, front end, back end programming, mobile app development. That is also a possibility. And then what we mentioned earlier, better if you have, that's amazing if you have a group with students from these different backgrounds. That one is looking at the raw signal, the other one, the more care professional designing the interventions. And you mentioned the report, but you can also compare, okay, this is what I detected from the patterns, and then how does it compare to the Fibion report? And use both source of data. And then how would you use that, or the media students would use that in an own app created by this with the knowledge from the group. Then you have the combination.
Very good points. If you have like media students, someone who might want to develop apps, so there's API in the product, so you can actually bring results with the easy commands
Yep.
and get the results in JSON format
Yep.
there. And I think now we discussed about teaching and not to be nervous when you go teaching, that you know that it will work. Then if we think about students doing thesis and you are the supervisor, what do you want? Basically, you want that you don't need to work too much, because
Yeah.
you don't want to be like guiding all the analysis steps, because of course students, if it's difficult to analyze the data, they don't know, they are first time having the data. So easier you get the results from the
Yeah.
product that the students are using, less work it will be for the supervisor. And yeah, usually professors, lecturers are actually very busy, so there's not much time to supervise the really how to analyze, how to go to details.
Yeah.
And maybe for this, if you use this student lab package, for example with Fibion Research, you get right away an Excel with the results. There's
Yeah.
nothing you need to do. You just click and you have the file, and then you can basically just analyze pre and post, for example, sitting time, and you get the results. So it's very easy for the supervisor. And we have a couple of customers who started using it with students, and now they keep ordering more because it's so simple. And they can do
Yeah.
many kind of designs. You can do behavior change things, you can do different intervention, basic things to study, experimental setup. So yeah, I think it's very important to think like your workload when the students are doing thesis.
Yeah, definitely. Also because in thesis, it's not just the support that you give to the student in the analysis, but it can also be that the subject of the research of the student is someone else. I don't know. I'm just thinking about students I
Mm,
supervised that did research with older adults. So the
mm,
students are the ones that will have, for you as well, but the first contact with the research subjects.
mm,
So you want to, as much, and of course depends on the student, depends on the level, but that students can do it autonomously without,
mm,
as you said, reduce your workload, but still have confidence that things will work well.
mm,
So the more complex the system is, more likely the student will need your help for then helping the study participant.
mm,
um, so that is also you want to have a trustworthy and easy, that also the students, without yeah using the device that much, maybe they should try themselves for a couple of weeks, but then they are confident enough to be the ones teaching or helping the research subjects using the system.
mm. Yeah, very good point. So I think this Fibion Student Lab is a package that you can really use it
Yeah.
in many different ways. You can measure many different
Yeah.
signals. You can have at least dozen different courses with it. And like we said, it's very easy to use, very simple. Should be reducing the stress of the lecturer. You know that it will work, and also making the thesis work easier. And it's a simple to purchase package that provides all of those things
Yeah.
in one package. So if you're interested in, you can learn more at fibion.com/student lab, together, the student lab. And if you want to have more information, Miriam can provide. So how do people reach you, Miriam?
Yeah, with my email, miriam.cabrita, cabrita, at fibion.com.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
So if anyone is interested, let Miriam know. Check the website, and we are glad to give more information. We've been spending quite a bit of time of
yeah,
developing this, and it's nice if people find value in this. Thanks for Miriam for
thank
this
you.
recording about active learning and about Fibion Student Lab.
Thank you.